Hello everyone, I welcome you all for the first session of the new chapter Wave Optics. In our previous chapter, that is in ray optics, we consider the light is traveling in a straight line path which is called as a ray of light, and we also made a point that when you consider a light wave, if you consider light as a wave, the wavelength of the light wave is so small so that it can almost travels in a straight line. So in the previous chapter, based on this assumption, we had seen some of the phenomena like refraction, refraction through a spherical surface, refraction through a prism likewise, and also a total internal reflection likewise. So those phenomena are studied by considering the light to be having a ray nature. Now in this chapter, that is in wave optics, we consider light is a wave phenomenon. Okay, light is a wave phenomenon. In earlier days, a scientist who named Christian Huygens who proposed a wave theory of light. So he considers the light is having a wave nature, light travels in a medium like a wave. Later, a scientist who named Thomas Young who performed an experiment on interference of light. So that experiment is also based by considering the light is having a wave nature. And later on, a scientist who named James Clerk Maxwell who concluded that light is a electromagnetic wave. So light consists of electric and magnetic field vectors so that it propagates even in a vacuum. Electromagnetic wave. So light consists of electric and magnetic field vectors so that it propagates in a medium, so that it propagates even in a vacuum. So finally he concluded that light is a electromagnetic wave. So in this chapter, in chapter wave optics, we study the properties and behavior of light by considering light is having a wave nature. So in this chapter, first we need to understand what is Huygens wave theory and also a theory of wave fronts. Let's understand that. If you consider a still water, this is a water surface, assume that this is a water surface, and we thrown a stone at the center of the surface. Then what happens is, at the point where we thrown the stone is nothing but a source of a disturbance which is created in a water medium. This source creates a circular waves, water waves around it. So they may look like this. Around this disturbance, around this point of disturbance, we can see some circular waves. These are some circular waves which will be formed on the water surface. And if you consider any particle which is on this circular wave, which will be oscillating with some phase, and the neighboring particle is also having a same state of vibration, correct? If you say that there are two particles here, so those two particles are vibrating with a constant phase. You can say this is one particle and this is another particle. If you observe their state of vibration, the state of vibration is like this. They will be vibrating with a same phase. They will be having a zero phase difference. Why? Because means the distance from the source of disturbance to these points are same. And if you assume one more particle here and here, here, somewhere here. So all these particles will be having a same state of vibration, correct? So this is in the case of a water waves. Now let us assume there is a source of light, which emits the light in all the directions, and from this point source of light, let me mark some points around that source such that the points are equidistant from this source. Okay, I have marked some points over this, and all these points are at equidistant from this source. Now you can say that from this source, which is nothing but a light source which is emitting the light, and all these particles around the source will be having a same state of vibration now. So this particle, this one, likewise, all these particles will be having a same state of vibration because they are equidistant from the source. Now what I am going to do is I am going to join all these points. Okay, I am going to join all these points. What I have got is around this source we can have a sphere here. So from this source we'll be having a sphere now. So all the points on that surface of a sphere will be having a same state of vibration. So the locus of all these points which are vibrating with the same phase is called as a wavefront. This is called as a wavefront. Okay. Now if I want to draw another wavefront for the same source, what I am going to do is I will select the points which are equidistant from the source. Okay, which are equidistant from the source. Now let me join all these points which are having a same state of vibration, so that I am getting another sphere. So on this sphere all the points are having a same state of vibration. So this sphere can be called as a wavefront. Okay. So what is a wavefront? A wavefront is a locus of all the points which are vibrating with the same phase, or they are having a zero phase difference. This is called as a wavefront. So this is the definition for a wavefront. Now let me see what are the types of wavefront we have. So these are the types of wavefront we have. First let us consider what is a spherical wavefront. So when you have a source at a near distance, okay, from the source at a near distance we get a spherical wavefront. Next, what is cylindrical wavefront? So when you have a linear source, for this linear source at a near distance it forms a cylindrical wavefront. Next we have a third type of wavefront which is a plane wavefront. How do you draw the plane wavefront? See, this is a source. From this source, when you consider a sphere at somewhere infinity, that sphere will be having almost a plane surface. The curvature is very less. When the source is at a far distance and it forms a plane surface as a wavefront. So this is nothing but a plane wavefront. So when does a plane wavefront is formed? When the source is at infinity, which is very far, then the wavefront will be a plane wavefront. Okay. So we have three types of wavefronts: spherical wavefront, cylindrical wavefront and plane wavefront. So in spherical wavefront, the source is a point source and the wavefront is at a near distance. So this forms a spherical wavefront. And cylindrical wavefront, when we have a linear source at a near distance, it forms a cylindrical wavefront. And finally a plane wavefront, when the source is at a far distance or at infinity, then it forms a plane wavefront. Okay. The next concept is Huygens principle. Okay, this is very important for you. So Huygens principle states that all the points on the wavefront acts as a source of secondary disturbance which are emitting the secondary wavelets in all the directions which are spread out in a medium. This is the first point, and we have one more point. The one more point is a common tangent drawn to a sphere at a later time gives the position of the new wavefront at a later time. So let us understand, when you assume there is a source here and this source is emitting the light in all the directions, and let us make there is a wavefront here, there is a spherical wavefront here, and these are the points which are having a same state of vibration. And from the first point of the Huygens principle, which says that all the points on the wavefront acts as a source of secondary disturbance which are emitting the secondary wavelets in all the direction which spread out in a medium. See, these points also acts as a source of disturbances. Just like this is a primary source which is emitting the light in all the direction and which forms a wavefront. In the same way, the points which are on the wavefront also acts as a source of secondary disturbance which also emits the light. And if you want to draw a wavefront, how do you draw the wavefront here? See, so from this point, if you draw a radius, and let me draw a sphere for this. This is a sphere, and in the same way for this becomes a radius, and this is a sphere, and this is a radius, this is a sphere, this is a radius, and this is a sphere, this is radius and a sphere. Now for all these spheres, what I am going to draw is, I am going to draw a common tangent. Okay, I am going to draw a common tangent. So this common tangent in the forward direction gives the new wavefront or position of a new wavefront. And we can draw here also, correct? So here also we have a spheres for the same sphere in the back wave. So here also you can draw a common tangent which gives the position of a wavefront, but this concept will be excluded by the Huygens principle. So only in the forward direction we can draw a wavefront or position of a new wavefront. So that is what the theory says. So a common tangent drawn to a sphere at a later time gives the position of the new wavefront in a later time in a forward direction. Okay, this is in a forward direction only. We cannot consider the back wave there. Okay, this is nothing but a Huygens principle. So what does the Huygens principle says? If you look at the points, all the points on the wavefront acts as a source of secondary disturbance which are emitting the secondary wavelets in all the direction which are spread out in a medium. See, if this is a primary source which is emitting the light in all the direction, for this primary source, so firstly I have drawn a sphere. This is a sphere which is a position of a wavefront for this source. So according to the Huygens principle, all the points which are on the wavefront acts as a source of secondary disturbance. Therefore these points which can act like a source, you can write these are S1, S2, S3, S4 and S5. So all these S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, they can act as a source of secondary disturbance which emits the secondary wavelets. And the second point says that the common tangent drawn to a sphere at a later time gives the position of the new wavefront in the forward direction. So if you draw a sphere using this point, consider these points is at the center and let us draw a sphere for this. This is a sphere, this is a sphere, this is a sphere, like this. Okay, for all these spheres, if you draw a common tangent and this common tangent acts as a position of a new wavefront. If you say this is some F1, F2, F1, F2 is the first wavefront. And if you write this is G1, G2 and this G1, G2 gives the position of the second wavefront. This is what the direction of, the light. So this is the direction of the light. And Huygens principle says that the wave advances in the forward direction and which carries the energy and momentum. The energy which is transferred by this wave is always in the direction which is perpendicular to the wavefront. Okay, the direction of propagation of energy is just perpendicular to the position of a wavefront. So that is what the Huygens principle says here. Now, if you want this radius, what is this radius? This radius can be written as V into tau, where V is the speed of the wave. Speed in which this wave advances is known as the speed of a wave. So if speed is V and tau is the time to reach from this point to here. So this is the time. Now let us understand the geometrical construction of the plane wavefront using Huygens principle. Assume a plane wavefront which is at time t is equal to 0. Okay, at time t is equal to 0 we have a plane wavefront here. Let us say that these are the points on the wavefront. These are the points on the wavefront. Let me name them as A1, B1, C1 and D1. Now how do we draw the position of the new wavefront? According to the Huygens principle, we have to draw the spheres by considering these points to be at the center. Now we have to draw the position of the new wavefront at a later time t is equal to tau. So for this, how do you draw the position of a new wavefront? By considering these points to be at the center, we have to draw the spheres around them. Let me draw a spheres. This is a sphere. So we are drawing a spheres by saying this is by considering the points at the center, and this is a sphere for this, and for this a sphere looks like this. So we have drawn the spheres for these points A1, B1, C1, D1. We have drawn the spheres by considering the points A1, B1, C1, D1 to be at the center, and we have drawn the spherical wavefronts. According to Huygens principle, a common tangent drawn to all these spheres will give us the position of a new wavefront. Let me draw this. Well, this will be the common tangent drawn to these spheres, and this wavefront, and this is nothing but the position of a new wavefront at a later time t. Now if I say that this is the radius of the sphere, this is the radius of the sphere, we can say this is the radius of a sphere, or if v is the velocity of this wave, then we can write v into tau is nothing but the radius of this sphere. So radius of this sphere is nothing but v into tau. Now let me mark these are positions A2, this is B2, this is C2, and this is D2. So this A2, B2, C2, D2 are the points on the new wavefront at later time t is equal to tau. Now if v is the speed of the wave, then this v into tau is nothing but the radius of this sphere. The radius of the sphere can be equal to a1 a2, and this a1 a2 will be equal to v into tau, which is nothing but a distance from here to here. Now the propagation of energy of this wave takes place along this direction of the light. So this is the direction of the wave, this is the direction of the wave, and these are the wavefront. So if you see, if this is the direction of the incident light, then how does a plane wavefront looks like? A plane wavefront is always perpendicular to the direction of the incident light. So if this is the direction of the incident light, then this is the position of the wavefront at a time t is equal to 0, and this is the position of the new wavefront at time t is equal to tau. Then the direction of incident ray and the plane wavefront are perpendicular to each other. If I say f1, f2 is the wavefront at time t equal to 0, then this g1, g2 is the wavefront which is at the later time t is equal to tau. So this is about the geometrical construction of the wavefront using a Huygens principle. Now using this Huygens principle, we need to derive the expression which has already been derived in the ray optics chapter, that is Snell's law. And also we need to show that the angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection for any reflection through a plane surface. So that we need to study now. Now we need to derive the Snell's law using the Huygens principle. For that, let me say that M dash is the interface of two media, and here we have a denser medium. Say this is a denser medium, medium 2, and this is a medium 1. Okay, let us say that an incident light is falling on the interface of two media. Say this is a dash A, and we can draw a normal here. For this normal, this is the angle of incidence. Now let me draw a wavefront for this A dash. A dash A is the incident light. For this incident light, how do we draw the incident wavefront? An incident wavefront is just perpendicular to this incident light. So this becomes a incident wavefront. So this is nothing but a incident wavefront. Okay. Let me name this is AB. AB is the incident wavefront. Say this is the direction of the incident light, correct? This is the direction of the incident light. Let V1 is the speed of the wave in the medium 1, and this is V1. Now the time taken by the wave to travel from B to C, that can be written as V1 into tau. Okay? If tau is the time taken by an incident wavefront to travel from B to C. Okay. So if tau is the time taken by the incident wavefront to travel from here to here, from B to C, then we can write this BC is equal to V1 into tau, correct? Because V1 is the speed of the wave in the first medium. So therefore from here to here, what is the distance traveled? V1 into tau. So BC is equal to V1 into tau. Now we need to draw the refracted wavefront. Say the refracted light is going towards the normal. Say this is a refracted ray which is bending towards the normal. Now we have to draw a sphere which is having a radius of V2 into tau, because V2 is the speed of the wave in the second medium. So by drawing a sphere which is having a radius of v2 into tau, and I am drawing a sphere which is having a radius of v2 into tau, and let me draw a tangent from here to here. Okay, this is a tangent drawn, and this tangent, and call this as some E. So this CE gives the position of the refracted wavefront. How do we draw this refracted wavefront? First we have drawn the sphere of radius v2 into tau, which is nothing but the refracted light, and we had drawn a tangent from C to E for this sphere. Therefore this gives the position of the refracted wavefront, and say this is the angle of refraction. See, if this is angle of incidence, then this incident wavefront also makes an angle of I with the interface. And if this is a refracted wavefront, this is a refracted wavefront. If this is a refracted wavefront, and this refracted wavefront makes an angle of or with the interface. How do we constructed this? This A dash A is the incident light, and for this incident light, this is an incident wavefront which is perpendicular to the direction of incident light. And next, let tau be the time taken by the incident wavefront to travel from B to C. Then we can write, if v1 is the speed of the incident light, v1 tau is the distance bc. So bc is equal to v1 into tau. Next, to construct the refracted wavefront, what we had done is, if this is the refracted light, we had drawn a sphere by considering A is at the center, a sphere of radius v2 into tau, where v2 is the speed of the wave in the second medium, v2 into tau, and we had drawn a tangent to this sphere, and this tangent represents the position of the new wave, position of the refracted wavefront. Therefore this becomes a refracted wavefront, and this incident wavefront is making an angle of I with the interface, and refracted wavefront is making an angle of R with the interface. Now if I look at the two triangles here, so what are those triangles? Triangle ABC, correct? This is 90 degree, and this triangle ABC is a right angle triangle, and also this angle is also equal to 90 degrees, correct? Therefore angle ACE is a right angle triangle. So we had seen the two right angle triangles here, ABC and AEC. Let us write them. Before writing that, let me write from right angle to triangles, ABC, triangle ABC and triangle AEC. So by these two triangles, let us define what are sin I and sin R. Okay. So from the triangle ABC, what is sin I? Sin I is equal to opposite side by hypotenuse side. So BC is the opposite side and AC is the hypotenuse side. Therefore sin I is equal to BC by AC, and that sin I is written as BC is nothing but V1 tau. Let us write that. This is V1 tau divided by AC. Let me write AC as it is. Call this as equation 1. Now similarly for triangle AEC, sin R is equal to, see this is R, AE is the opposite side and AC is the hypotenuse side. So this will be AE by AC, but we had taken this AE as V2 tau, therefore this will be V2 tau by AC. So take this as equation number 2. Now let us divide equation 1 and equation 2. Sin I divided by sin R is equal to, so V1 tau by AC divided by V2 tau by AC. So this will be V1 tau by AC divided by V2 tau by AC. So AC and AC gets cancelled, tau and tau gets cancelled. So what remains is sin I by sin R is equal to V1 divided by V2, V1 by V2. But if I write N1 is the refractive index of the first medium and N2 is the refractive index of the second medium, This refractive index of the first medium is written as C divided by V1. This we had done in the previous chapter. The refractive index of the first medium, the absolute refractive index of the first medium is speed of light in air or vacuum divided by speed of light in that medium. So therefore, N1 is equal to C by V1, and also you can write N2 is equal to C by V2. Therefore, this equation becomes V1 is equal to C by N1 and this V2 is equal to C by N2. Let us substitute the values of V1 and V2 in this equation. Okay. Substituting the values of V1 and V2. What we will get is sin I by sin R. Keep that sin I by sin R as it is. Sin I by sin R is equal to V1 is equal to C by N1. So this is C by N1 divided by V2 is equal to C by N2. So this is C by N2. So cancel C and C on either side. N2 goes to numerator, N1 comes to denominator. So that sin I by sin R is equal to N2 divided by N1. Therefore, N1 is multiplied to here. So, N1 sin I is equal to N2 sin R. So, this is the required relation for Snell's law, correct? The mathematical equation of Snell's law is this. N1 sin I is equal to N2 sin R. Now, using the theory of wavefront or using Huygens principle, we derive Snell's law. So that by considering the light to be a wave, we can explain the phenomenon of refraction using this Huygens principle. Now we have to explain the reflection, the phenomenon of reflection using Huygens principle. Reflection of plane wavefront using Huygens principle. So for this, first we need to consider a reflecting surface. Let us say that this is a reflecting surface Mn. Consider a reflecting surface Mn. Let a incident light is falling on this reflecting surface in this direction, and if you draw a normal, this is a normal, and we can call this as the angle of incidence. Now let us draw an incident wavefront which is just perpendicular to the direction of the incident light. So this is the direction. So this is the wavefront. This is the incident wavefront. Let us say this is an incident wavefront, and if this is the direction of the incident light is A dash A, and this is a point A, and let me say AB is the incident wavefront. AB is the incident wavefront. So here AB is the incident wavefront. So if tau is the time taken by the wavefront to travel from B to C with a speed of V. So speed of the wave is V in this medium. So let us say that the incident wavefront is traveling from B to C here, and this distance BC is written as V into tau, correct? V is the speed of the wave and tau is the time taken to reach from B to C. Therefore, this distance becomes V tau. Therefore, BC will be equal to V into tau. Now, we need to draw the reflected wavefront. Say this is the incident light and the reflected light would go in this direction, correct? Angle of reflection R. Now, to draw the position of the reflected wavefront, what we need to do is, we have to draw a sphere which is having a radius of V into tau, because the speed of the wave in the same medium when the reflection takes place is same. So this is V into tau. So this is the radius of this sphere. Now we need to draw a tangent from this point to here. So this point to here, let me draw a tangent. So this tangent represents the position of a wavefront, correct? This is just perpendicular to the reflected light. So let me mark this as some E. Therefore, this CE gives the reflected. CE represents the reflected wavefront. So this is a reflected wavefront. This is an incident wavefront making an angle of I with the reflecting surface, and this is the position of the reflected wavefront, and which is making an angle of R with the reflecting surface. Now you can observe the two triangles here, the two congruent triangles here, which are those ABC, the triangle ABC and the triangle AEC. So for the triangle ABC and the triangle AEC, AC is a common side and the angle B and angle E are equal to 90 degrees. So, for the triangles ABC and AEC, AC is a common side, and angle B is equal to angle E, which is equal to 90 degrees, correct? Angle B and angle E are equal to 90 degrees. Therefore, you can say that the triangle ABC and AEC are congruent triangles. Therefore, the triangles ABC and the triangle AEC are congruent. They are congruent. For the congruent triangles, the similar angles are equal. Therefore, this angle I must be equal to this angle R. We can write the angle I is equal to angle R. These are the two similar angles, I and R, and I must be equal to R. So this I is equal to R is nothing but the angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection, which is nothing but the first law of reflection. The first law of reflection says that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. The same thing has been derived using the Huygens principle. So these two questions, the refraction of plane wavefront using the Huygens principle and also the reflection. In the refraction, we have derived the Snell's law, and here we had shown that angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. So these questions will be asked for 3 marks in your examination. Now let us understand how does this wavefront, a plane wavefront, behaves when it is passing through the prism, convex lens and concave mirror. We know that a plane wavefront is represented like this. See, this is the plane wavefront and these are the directions of incident light. So when this plane wavefront is incident on a prism, say for example, this is a prism. So when it is entering into a prism, what is happening? This part of the wavefront has to travel a larger distance in a prism compared to this one, correct? That is why while coming out of the prism, what happens is the wavefront will looks like this. When the wavefront is entering into a prism, what happens is this part of the wavefront has to travel a least distance compared to this one. That is why a wavefront looks like this. Next, when the plane wavefront is entering into a convex lens, what happens? See, when a plane wavefront, this is a plane wavefront which is entering into a convex lens. Okay, a plane wavefront is now entering into a convex lens. Now in this case, how does a refracted wavefront looks like? A refracted wavefront will be looking like this. Okay, so this wavefront are converging to a focus. After refraction, the wavefront is converging to a focus. See, why this happens means at this part the lens is having a more thickness. So this wavefront, so this part of the wavefront has to travel a larger distance here. It has to travel a larger distance here compared to the edges. That is why the refracted wavefront will look like this. So that's all for this session. In our next session, we will be learning the theory of interference. Until then, thank you.